What is going on, YouTube? It's Tyler from Mission VR, where it's my mission to bring you guys good quality VR content. Sorry, I've been a little bit MIA. Real world took over for a little bit there in my job, so I wasn't able to get as many videos out this past week and a half that I would like. But I got a couple videos coming to you this weekend, including today's, which is going to be top 5 tips and tricks for new VR players. And the reason I'm doing this is because I actually have a friend that's considering getting an Oculus Quest, so I figured I'd throw a video together with 5 tips that, not every tips and tricks video or article tells you. Now, here's the thing. I'm staying away from stupid tips like put the hand straps on the controllers. Like, no, really? You think we should put the hand straps on? I can't tell you how many times that I've seen this one in a tips video. Like, yeah, it's like, you should put it on. If you ever played Wii, you probably threw the controller at the TV once or twice. VR is even more intense than that. So put the hand straps on. Please put them on. But I'm staying away from lesser, common sense tips. And I'm going to talk about some tips on just VR gaming in general that I think will be really helpful to you all if you're going to be new into the VR player space. So with that being said, make sure you guys do drop a like on this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm bringing a ton of VR content, everything from game reviews to lists and tips and tricks videos like this. So make sure you guys do subscribe. Head on over to my Discord, join it for a nice community of VR players. I'm trying to do stuff there. I do a lot of giveaways in that as well. So make sure you head over there, drop a like on this video, comment on this video, and let's go ahead and hop on into it. Okay guys, so with our first tip on this list, this one's going to be centered towards the Oculus Quest. The rest of them will be pretty general to all VR headsets, but this one is to the Quest. Now, I want to say if you're using a PC and your Quest, please know that there are more settings that Oculus doesn't tell you about than, what there is in the actual Oculus app. If you're using a PC with your Quest, you want to make sure that you do a couple things. First and foremost, you're going to go to where your Oculus file is located. Open your file location up, and you're going to actually you're going to go to Oculus, you're going to go to support, and then you're going to go to Oculus Diagnostics. Now, if you're using the link cable, this is really important because it's going to upgrade your graphics. You're going to open the Oculus debug tool. From here, you're going to see that dynamic bitrate and encoded bitrate, I have changed these settings to this. Now, this works for my PC. If you go any higher than 300 here, you really don't notice a difference, and it just kind of taxes your system. So it's a little bit unnecessary, but this is something that I still use, even though in the Oculus settings, they've taken away some of the ability. Like, you don't need to do this anymore because that's actually in the device settings here for your Quest. So, just know what you're doing when it comes to that. If you're going to buy a link cable, there are plenty of third-party options on Amazon. Again, this video is not going to be centered around how to do all that. There's other videos out there that, if you want to learn more about that, go search. But I'm just telling you that, when you plug it in for the first time, I was dumbfounded with how bad the graphics were until I did some of these things. So then they picked up pretty nicely on my PC. So, you just want to make sure that if you are using an Oculus Quest that you're investigating more so than just plugging it in and letting it rip. Now, if you're playing standalone and wirelessly, then you're in great shape. You're not going to have to do anything. And then if you're playing wirelessly on a PC, obviously that's also a whole nother setup that you can find through either virtual desktop or AirLink. There's several different ways to do it. So make sure you guys look up a tutorial for that if that is something that you're interested in learning how to do. Okay, so with our fourth tip on this list here, we're going to be talking about motion sickness. VR sickness is what they call it. I can't tell you how many people I have that I know that have either played VR or gotten a VR headset and say, oh, I don't play it much. I get sick on it. I hear you. And if you're very prone to motion sickness, then maybe VR, you have to really tread lightly in it. Like my dad, for example, was very prone to motion sickness. So like flight sim games absolutely are a no-go for him. Like no matter what you do. Here's the thing about VR sickness. One, a lot of the games nowadays have vignettes, what they call them. I think that's how you pronounce it. I could be totally wrong. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to look it up either. But basically the screen shrinks down on your face, and it helps to minimize the feeling of moving without actually moving. So that's one of the things that helps. Here's the reality of it. VR legs, you get them. If you play, you just slowly ramp yourself up. I mean, I never, ever get motion sickness, from roller coasters, from car rides, from really anything. But my first true gaming session in VR back in 2016, I spent like 2 hours playing War Thunder. Of course, it was a flight sim, so it didn't help my situation. But I got really sick that night, and I was sick the rest of the night. That was the last time I ever got motion sickness. For the most part, I've never had motion sickness since then. Even playing sometimes impaired, if that makes sense. So it's one of those things that goes away. You just have to work it out of the system. Even if you're prone to motion sickness, it'll just take a little bit longer. So don't get discouraged. Get those VR legs. Slowly ramp up your playtime, and eventually you won't even notice it anymore. And that'll really give you the opportunity to enjoy being in the virtual world. Okay, so with our third pick here, we are going to be talking about the games you play. So this is kind of self-explanatory, you'd think, but know your own game style. There's still a lot of VR games out there that are not full experiences that, you could sink maybe 1 or 2 hours into and you've completed. So you want to make sure not only do you know what type of games you like to play, but also which games are going to, provide the most experience out of. Now, if you want to experience a game, say like Vader Immortal, like you're just a huge Star Wars fan and you really just want to do it, that's great. And you're going to spend $30 on, probably like a 4-hour experience. And if you're okay with that, then all in, go for it. But, make sure you know what you're getting and know your game style. If you are somebody that does not like PvP competitive games, there are some PvP competitive games in VR that you probably shouldn't play, no matter how good they look or how high up on a top 10 list they are, because people are really good at these games, and it takes time, but people are really good at these games. And if you're somebody who doesn't like to get scraped by people that, spend hours and hours and hours playing video games, then, again, don't hop into a PvP game. So it's no different than a regular game, but, you just want to make sure you know your game style, know exactly which games you're getting, because there's still videos and there's still people out there who say, oh, there's no full VR games, there's no good VR experiences. That is completely false. There are so many really good VR experiences, but there's also a lot of really short and a lot of, left for you wanted more out of them experiences. So make sure you guys know exactly what you're getting into. And I've got a bunch of videos on my channel too that talk about top 10 games. So make sure you can check that out. So with that last point about knowing your game style and knowing what type of player you are, we're going to lead us into our next point here, which is how to be good at VR. This is a question that actually gets asked a lot. How do I get better? What do I do to be good at VR games? If I want to play a competitive game like Hyperdash, how do I get better at it? Because I hop into a lobby, I'm, a level 3 player, and I'm just getting absolutely crushed. How do you get better? How do you get good? You got to play. This is, when you're doing it in virtual reality, you're doing it. It's not pressing buttons. It's not, being quick with your wrist on the mouse. Like, you have to be proficient at what you're doing. So if you're aiming a weapon, you need to actually, handle it like a weapon. You're going to need to aim down the sights. You're going to have to just get good at it. And if you're somebody who's never shot a gun in real life or, just isn't familiar with that, it's something you're just going to have to work on over time. It takes time, and it honestly takes practice and repetition to do. I know that sounds redundant, but VR is different than regular gaming. It's not, you're just, and even in regular gaming, you do have to spend time within a game to get good. You have to master the maps, you have to master the controls, master a lot of stuff, but in VR, it just takes it to that next level. It's no different than if you step out onto a sports field and you're playing, say, football. You can't just pick it up and just be good at it, unless you're a super athlete. But even then, there's still a learning curve. And there's always going to be a learning curve with certain VR games. And you want to make sure that you are spending the time, taking the time, don't get frustrated. It takes time. I didn't get really good at Hyperdash until I was maybe level 15. And I was probably 15 hours into the game at that point before I really started to get a hold of, how to be good at this game. And I'm still not even, some of these guys are just really insanely good, but I love PvP games. So I'm somebody who puts a lot of hours into that type of game. So again, I know my own game style. I do enjoy competitive PvP games. I've been, an athlete my whole life. So that's something that appeals to me. Now, if you're somebody that, likes, a little slower paced single player story driven titles, don't hop into a PvP game. You're just going to get frustrated because people are really good. So just know how, how to be good. It's going to take time. It's going to take repetition. So lastly, with my final tip, for general VR use, this is one that a lot of people seem to forget about, especially new VR players. Use your body in virtual reality. So if you're playing a PvP game, you can actually crouch down real quick and you crouch in the game. And if you're playing a shooter, for example, I can't tell you how many times I've had friends come over and play Onward or Contractors or something, right? And they're like, how do I go prone? How do I go prone? I'm like, what do you mean, how do you go prone? They're like, what button do I press to go prone? I'm like, you lay down on the floor. And they look at me like, what? like, I lay down on the floor. I'm like, yeah, you lay down on the floor. That's how you do it. It's different. You can use your body to actually maneuver. So make sure you're using your body in virtual reality. Whether it's a PvP game or anything, you do have the ability to move your body. Now, provided you do have the play space to do so. If you're a little bit of a tighter spot, you might not be able to just, fire yourself onto the floor. But either way, don't be looking for buttons to press. You have a lot of freedom in virtual reality, which is something that makes it really, really special. Well, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you found one of these tips and tricks to be useful to you. Please do comment in the comment section below which ones you liked and which ones maybe you didn't like. And then drop a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.